All right, folks, welcome back. Channel rebranding. We're now JB's Comic Reviews instead of comic readings. So, for what it's worth, I was bored, I guess. Today, we're going to be going through the old Incredible Hulk 296 from June of 1984. Story's called To Kill or Cure, which you'll find out here in a moment why it's about that. So this is part 14 of 35 in the Wraith War event. So far we've had a bunch of ROM issues, and this was the first actual crossover issue. So yeah, first page, full spread of ROM flying in. I get a couple pages of backstory for those of you that may have been Incredible Hulk fans at the time, but weren't really ROM fans at the time. So you get a pretty decent background on who ROM is, why he's here, yada yada. It says he's flying into upper New York State. And as he's flying over the area, he detects some unknown form of energy that he decides to investigate. So we got a scene change. We're inside, and it's mentioned now that this is actually Chapter 2, The Hammer and the Hulk. There's some Hulkish looking dude who's kind of gray, but not quite as big as the Hulk. Grayish green, who the story says was kind of an old frail man just a few weeks ago. And this Hulkish looking dude's begging Banner for help. He's like, "Oh, Banner, help me out, dude." The story tells us this is actually Max Hammer, who blackmailed Banner into using some sort of untested gamma cure on him and some others. And this cure, being untested, transformed them all into, well, this guy into a monster, the others not so much. So come to find out, all the others that were exposed weren't doing as good as Hammer. Well, Hammer's a monster, but at least he's alive. We learned that this was Hammer's doing. Banner didn't apply this to these people. They signed up for it. Hammer zapped them and himself, and they aren't doing so great. So then comes in Dr. Katherine Wanyesboro, who looks to be human, not really exposed. I hadn't been reading much Hulk for a while, so I'm not too sure who she is in this particular age of the Hulk. The other people that are exposed start dying around her, and the doctor's worried that all these people are going to die that were just here looking for a cure. So at this time, Hammer goes full rage mode. He stops asking the Hulk for help, and he just starts going after him. So it's interesting he's referring to the Hulk as Banner, even though he's in the Hulk form. An injury is mentioned to the Hulk to his leg, which seems to have happened in Secret Wars, which is taking place around the same time in other comic issues. So Secret Wars, I think, sort of just maybe wrapped up. This is sort of at the ass end of it. So it's mentioned that he had his some sort of a injury sustained during Secret Wars, which has him sort of weaker than normal. Right now, the Hulk has some sort of big gun in his hand, and he has a leg brace on. So it seems that while he's in the Hulk form, he's actually the Banner persona. So his strength is sort of at bay. He's got the body, but he doesn't quite have the rage that the Hulk has. So Hammer's just kicking his ass, beating him up and down, left and right, page after page, until finally the old Hulk persona steps in and sends Banner to the back. So this was a challenge getting there, but once he did, he shows up and he starts absolutely whooping Hammer's ass on an epic scale. So when this happens, the doctor's all distraught. She's crying as she realizes that the Banner persona is no longer in control and the Hulk has finally returned. She pleads for help. She's got tears in her eyes. She's praying out loud, praying to Lord, "Please, somebody help me." And then lo and behold, Rom steps in. So it seems that this was the energy signal that Rom was detecting. Rom mentions, "Hey, I'll help you out, chickadee, if I can. So Rom then pulls out his energy analyzer, scans the remaining people who were either dying or, not looking too good from the exposure to this cure. And his analyzer tells him that there's still time to save them. So apparently the analyzer lets him know that they could actually sort of remove the gamma radiation trapped inside their bodies, which will quote unquote cure them. So he puts away the analyzer, pulls out his neutralizer, and then he starts zapping these sick individuals who, lo and behold, start to revert back to their normal human form, which a lot of them are older and sick, but at least they're not dying from the gamma cure right now. So the doctor tells Rom, hey, thanks for helping them out, but I'm in love with Banner. So apparently Dr. Wanyesboro here is a bit more a bigger piece of Banner's life at this time than I was aware of. That she's in love with him, and that he also needs to try and help the Hulk. So Rom recognizes the name. So apparently it's mentioned that early on in his arrival on Earth many issues ago that he had heard of the Hulk, but apparently this is going to be their first meeting. So he takes off to find the Hulk, who's still battling Hammer nearby, whooping each other's ass. It makes note, hey, since they're both Hulks now, that this could perpetually go on forever. There's no real great way that either of them is going to just sort of win. So Rom finds them, and while they're in the middle of battling, he zaps them both with their neutralizer. This in turn cures Hammer, just like it did the other people that were exposed. So it turns Hammer back into this old version of himself that was all, kind of an old man that was disabled looking, kind of all beat up. But it doesn't do anything to Banner. And the Hulk's still raging. So even as Hammer's changing back into the old man, the Hulk's just sitting there whooping this old man's ass. So Rom notices this. He's like, whoa, hold up. I can't let him just sit here and beat this old dude up. So the doctor then mentions that, hey, he's got this leg injury that may slow him down. So what's interesting is, even though that doesn't matter much that she dropped that piece of info, Rom starts zapping the Hulk a few more times with his neutralizer, which eventually does have an effect on him. So it calms him down after he gets hit numerous times with Rom's neutralizer. This allows the Banner persona to show back up, still in the Hulk form, but at least Banner's there. And the neutralizer did calm him down, but Rom makes note that there's no hope for a reversal. Banner was exposed way too long ago. It's way in his system, so there's no way that he's going to be able to sort of change him back permanently from the Hulk status. Well, of course. Then the Hulk would end. The calmness doesn't seem to last long, though. So in short order, the Hulk persona shows back up, starts attacking Rom just out of the blue, and then mid-battle, while the Hulk is just going at it with Rom, he somehow hits the Doctor. This is enough to have the Banner persona realize what was done, and brings that persona back. It makes note that, hey, he's in love with the Doctor. And, this was the thing that sort of tipped his edge to bring him back from that Hulk rage. So after realizing what he'd done, he was distraught, and he just gets the hell out of there. So he takes off, and then it's Rom pretty much hanging out there with the hurt Doctor that was slapped around a little bit by the Hulk. And then the issue ends. So, overall, it's an okay issue. There are no wraiths really present. Or any sort of big part of the story. It was just Rom sort of running into the Hulk while fighting in the war. It doesn't really seem to have a whole lot of overall impact on the event. Sure, timeline-wise, I'm sure it fits right in with the reading order, but it doesn't. If you miss this issue, you're not missing a whole heck of a lot as part of the Wraith War goes. It's a good-looking cover. It's a Synquix cover. It's not his normal painted style, but it's still a pretty slick looking cover. You can see the ROM sort of zapping the Hulk quite a few times in that big final scene. He's not going after that leg. There's no leg brace in this video or in this image either, but oh well. So yeah, written by Bill Mantlo, art by Sal Buscema. Standard guys around this time. No real complaints on the art. Story was okay. Written fine, as you could see, but didn't really tie in into incredibly crazy to the Wraith War, which would have been cooler if it did. See the Hulk sort of engage in the war versus sort of just being a bystander. So yeah, that's it for now. Till next time. Peace.